everyone. Welcome to another night of Wednesday night OWCP chats with Stump the Chump and Genie.
It's going to be that kind of a night again.
All right, so come on in, and don't forget to share, like, follow, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow Chris on Breaking OWCP on TikTok. We are on Facebook at Federal Injury Centers, Breaking OWCP, Wednesday Night Chats, and both of our our personal pages. We're also on LinkedIn, and we are also on Instagram at Wednesday Night OWCP Chats with Chump and Genie. So
it doesn't happen. You don't. You don't get to stump me. It doesn't happen.
Tonight is
you
not.
You can only stump me if you ask questions about like physics or like nuclear fission or fusion. I don't know what the word is because I'm not one of them. But tonight, OWCP, I'm probably good.
Yeah, tonight we're not stumping the chump.
Yeah.
But tonight, so a lot of you, and I mean a lot of you, it's so funny. I feel, and I've said this to Chris before, I feel like sometimes you guys are all talking to each other to talk about the same topic, because all I got this week, and I was telling Chris since Tuesday about second opinion doctors. Why do I have to go? I have a nurse case manager. She's being a bee, and I can't stand her. Yeah. And things like that. So tonight, our topics are all about second opinion doctors, why you have them, who sends you to them, why is it necessary, and how this all plays out. And then we're also going to talk the same thing about nurse case managers, why one is selected for you, yada, yada, and yada. Right?
I don't know about the yadas. Maybe the first and second one, but the third one is probably unnecessary.
Irene is on with Federal Injury Centers of Thousand Oaks. Hello, hello.
What's up?
We got Federal Injury Centers of Virginia Beach here. Kate. Who else we got on here so far? All right. So tell your friends this is a really, really great topic, because everybody and their mother and their grandmother ask about second opinions. And more than half of you being on OWCP mostly winds up running into the second opinion issue and the nurse case manager issue. So with that said,
second opinion doctors can be a nightmare to an OWCP case, because it seems like, and with a few exceptions that I know of for sure.
Yeah.
It seems like, yeah, we always forget to turn that down. With a few exceptions that I
know. Oh, okay.
Repeat.
Hello, yeah. Mrs. Harper. How are you?
With oh, look, she and I were messaging earlier today.
Who?
Mary Harper.
Oh.
Nice. So yeah, I was saying second opinion doctors, it seems like for the most part their job is to just kill your case. They get paid a lot of money for doing a 5-minute exam or a 10-minute exam or whatever. And I'm using the word exam very loosely in this case, because too often the second opinion doctors are just like cashing checks. That's how I feel. Now, there's second opinion doctors like a guy in New Jersey at Rutgers. And
outstanding.
I want to meet this guy one day and become his friend, because he made the best decision that I've ever seen as a second opinion doctor. So they're out there. And nurse case managers are the same. I mean, I think for the most part, and I'm going to definitely like dive deep into this, but for the most part, you should befriend your nurse case manager, but not be run over by him. I know examples of nurse case managers who are gold, and examples of nurse case managers who have been banned from offices. I know one nurse case manager that has a restraining order against her.
Oh, yeah.
In one of our offices.
Yep.
Because we don't play around. If your interest is helping our patients, then you're welcome here. And if your interest is hurting the case, get the hell out of here. We don't want you. And second opinion doctors, like, unfortunately, we can't stop them from doing what we do.
Right.
But what we can do is write better medical reports than they do. Because when you write a better medical report than they do, guess what? The claims examiner is charged with weighing out the medical evidence, and whichever one weighs more, you have to accept it. So there are ways to beat the second opinion doctors and their referee doctors that come next when we have like a tie, virtual tie between the treating doctor and the second opinion doctor. But it's an important topic because more cases have been closed by second opinion doctor decisions than probably anything else.
Yep.
And I always say, like prior to that very second, I always say that the number one reason a case gets closed is for inactivity. In other words, you stop going to the doctor, which is fine. If you don't need to go anymore, you shouldn't. And if you don't keep going, then the claims examiner will realize that this case is over. They stopped coming, so they'll close the case. It can be reopened. But outside of that, the top reason cases get closed, in my opinion, are second opinion visits. So tonight I'm going to talk about the things that will trigger second opinion visits, what you have to do, your responsibility in second opinion visits, what not to do for sure. And I'm going to give you some pointers on how to deal with your nurse case managers too. Because like I said, I think the vast majority of nurse case managers are good and have good intentions. But when they don't, there's something we can do about it. And we're going to discuss that tonight. And then I'll take your questions. We won't be stumping me tonight because I reread all the rules and laws and regulations on these two topics today. And so it's fresh back in my memory.
So we're not stumping the Chumpy?
It's not happening tonight.
Oh, darn.
It's definitely not happening tonight. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving.
Yes.
For those of you that aren't Cowboys fans, I still hope that you were happy that the Cowboys won, because I was, and we all want me to be happy. And somebody asked me, what's the purpose of Thanksgiving?
Food and turkey and family, not the other F word.
It's food, family, and football. Okay, so the three major F's: the food, family, and football. Now, of course, to be thankful helps, but I'm not sure of a synonym for thankfulness that starts with an F, so I'll leave it out. I know other F words.
We don't need to know the other F
like
words.
Friends and family. I said family, but
okay.
Yeah. So anyways, what do you want to do? You want to get into this thing?
All right, let's see what we got going on here. So we have people on Instagram, we have TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So come on in. Again, those of you that are just hopping on, we are going to be talking about everything about second opinion doctors, why they're needed, and why you need nurse case managers, or why they are put into your case and doing all this. So,
and I've got my handy dandy black book of second
book.
opinion doctors and nurse case managers. And I like to be organized like that.
All right. When we have some of our offices on, we have Melissa from Roscoe. We have Federal Injury Centers of Greenville.
Who, by the way, let me just stop there. Federal Injury Centers of Greenville, South Carolina, just sent us a message in the last couple of days saying they just hit accepted claim number 101.
Yep. Congratulations, guys.
So anytime we go over 100, I get like super stoked. It gives me chills. The hair on the back of my neck raises up, because winning, like there's nothing better than seeing accepted claims. Tim in Virginia, Maryland has got like over 250 now.
Yeah. Rebecca says, can we add to your black book? What do you mean by adding?
Yeah, you can. I mean, if you've got something valuable, send it to me. I'll put it in.
We got Federal Injury Centers of OKC on, Oklahoma City. Hello, guys.
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
If you're in Oklahoma, that's the place you go. So go to federalinjurycenters.com. There's our locations tab. Below that map, you see all the states and cities alphabetical. So check them out. If you're in Oklahoma, go check us out at Federal Injury Centers of Oklahoma City.
Deborah Fowler said, hi, cute couple. Well, hello. Thanks.
Well, hello there, Deborah.
Miss Farah said, happy birthday. Thank you.
Yeah, so those of you that didn't know, Jeannie's birthday was on Thanksgiving this year. I guess it's not always on Thanksgiving.
No, it just keeps moving.
It's always on the 23rd, but Thanksgiving moves.
Yeah. So it was a nice, quiet birthday, and we had dinner on Saturday. So it was nice. My parents, my boys, stumped the chump here.
I don't get stumped.
So, yeah. So it was really great. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Mary said, I never asked second opinion. Just thank God I'm always in the right people.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you want to grab some paper, some pen,
glass of wine, some pens, popcorn,
wine, bourbon, scotch, whiskey.
What's that about?
Cigars, whatever you want. Tim,
wait, we're smoking cigars during chats tonight?
Yeah, I guess.
Huh.
Oh, Tim said Federal Injury Centers of DC, Maryland, Virginia is now at 327 approved cases.
Do people hear that?
Wow.
Look, we just named 2 offices that combined have over 400 accepted claims. That's incredible. Dr. Harper in Alabama is like well over well over 650. If he's not at 700
He's
now,
probably
I'd be
close to
shocked.
700. Yeah.
And that's not uncommon for us, okay?
Yeah.
The only reason Dr. Harper has so many more than everyone else is he's been with us the longest.
He's been with us since day one.
He's our day one guy. He's the flagship.
So-
But look at everybody. Everyone's following in his footsteps. We're just crushing these claims.
Yeah.
Crushing. And that's why you're here, okay? We're going to help you get your claim approved, whether you're with us or not. But if you're with us, you're not going to need more help than that.
Linda said, today's my first day of disability retirement. Thank you, FIC and Eric Blowers, for doing a great job with my case. Love you all.
Congratulations,
Congratulations.
Linda. If that was the right decision for you, then I'm super happy for you.
John Hancock, you said call us, text us. Who is John Hancock?
Well, John Hancock is the name comes from sign your John Hancock because he signed the Declaration of Independence larger than everybody else's.
Thank you, Susan.
But maybe this guy's name is John Hancock.
John, where are you located, John?
Yeah, and call us, text us at, I don't know what the, oh, that's 405. That's Oklahoma.
Oh, John with OKC. Duh. Sorry, John. I'm so sorry.
You probably do sign your name bigger than everybody else.
All right, grab your pen, your paper, hold your questions till he's done. He'll say to put your questions, or just we'll keep them in the queue, because a lot of you will put your questions and then you'll say, you haven't answered my question. It's because I'm just waiting for him to finish, because he may answer it in the stuff he's saying. So let's start off with second opinion doctors, why you need them, why they're there, and what are they for?
So I don't believe you need them, but I can see how if the system wasn't broken, a second opinion doctor could be super valuable. See, the second opinion doctor should be there to just do what's right. Whatever is necessary medically, that's what they should recommend. If you need more treatment, they should say so. If you shouldn't go back to work full duty, they should say so. If you should go back to work full duty, they should say so. But in all cases, they should just make a medical sound decision. But in my opinion, and this is not an expert opinion, although I am the leading expert in the topic, on this case, this is just my opinion. My opinion is that second opinion doctors, having worked for doctors my entire adult life, are looking to make as much money they can in the least amount of time possible. And as long as they keep doing what is expected, air quotes, expected of them, then they'll keep getting referrals for second opinions, and they'll keep making a lot of money. And I think that's wrong. I think that the best way to make money in anything, but certainly in workers' comp, is just to do the right thing. And if you do the right thing and help the most people, then you'll make the most money. What are we even talking about? Just do the right thing for the most amount of people possible.
Correct.
Which is everybody you come in contact with. But unfortunately, the second opinion doctors don't do the right thing for most people. Not just that they do it for the most people. For most people, they don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating, and they're hard to overcome. These second opinion doctors are hard to overcome. And so what I've got for you here is several things, but this first list is a list of reasons a second opinion visit may be requested. Now, for the most part, second opinion visits are requested by claims examiners. Claims examiners, among other things, pay your bills. They pay you when you're on LWOP, right? They facilitate everything that happens in OWCP. And so most second opinion visits are requested by the claims examiner, although they could be requested by a nurse case manager. They can even be requested by your agency. And it doesn't mean that that request will be honored, but it can be requested by your supervisor, by your postmaster, right? Or HR or whatever, injury comp. But most of the time it's requested by a claims examiner. And they do that for a number of reasons. So I'm going to read off this list of reasons that I've got online. And then I'm also going to read off my other list from my experience.
Go slow so they could hear you.
Well, I'll go slow, but you can always go back and replay it. So the number one reason is a medical dispute. When there's, a disagreement in the initial evaluation or diagnosis. So let's say the claims examiner looks at it and goes, this doesn't make sense. They can order a second opinion. So the way you avoid that is your doctor write a great narrative. I don't think we get many, if any, second opinion visits just because they read our initial narrative report and says, we're not sure about that, because we're thorough. They're like 5 pages long. It's hard to go, well, that's a weak report. Let's see a second opinion doctor and see if their report will be stronger. Their initial report will never outweigh ours, ever. No matter what, it's impossible. I dare them. I dare them. I just don't think so, because I don't think those doctors are going to spend the time it takes to write what we write.
The challenge is on.
And I don't want you to do that at second opinion doctors, so stay out of our business. But that's a thing that happens. Another one is on a complex case. Like, let's say that you had something that's just like catastrophic, right? Or there's a lot of moving parts to it. There's witness statements, there's conflicts of what the supervisor says and what you say. There's just a lot going on in it. In that case, they'll ask for a second opinion. And which is why, by the way, when I'm teaching this, I say, look, you gotta pay attention to what your supervisor is saying on the CA1 form, for example. Like,
Yes.
are they saying it's in performance of duty or not? Are they saying it's due to willful misconduct or intoxication or intent, or that their facts or their knowledge of the facts of the case don't agree with what you said or a witness said? You need to know that stuff. And what we do with that is we give it to our doctors, or you bring it to our doctors, and our doctors write about it in our narrative reports. We just deal with it right up front. You know, if the supervisor says not in performance of duty, we explain why it is in performance of duty, for example, because we don't want that conflict there. We don't want the confusion that's going to trigger a second opinion or a CCOP, right? We just don't want that. But anytime it's a complex case, or there's just confusion, or there's questions that are unanswered because the narrative report was bad, then you may get a second opinion visit, and that's not going to be good, because that's early on in a case. The next thing is what they call clarification of diagnosis or treatment. It's when the claims examiner just needs more information on the recommended treatment plan. I don't see that often, unless someone's just getting treated like 200 times. And then the claims examiner might go, 200, that seems like a lot. But for the most part, and in our narrative reports, we do this, we put our treatment plan. Here's what we think needs to be done so that this person can get back to work full duty. And when we're clear about that, then we pretty much avoid that problem, which is what we want to do, is avoid these problems. And you can stop me with questions anytime. I'm not going to lose track on this one.
Okay, I'm just going to get this one out of the way because
Yeah.
it's not on our topic tonight, but we're going to answer it real quick. It is from Terry. Said, if I get assigned CA17 from FIC, can DOL force me to get a second opinion? I just want to go back to work with my CA17.
Your claims examiner, which is DOL, can force you to get a second opinion visit anytime they feel like it. And there's nothing you can do about it. I'm going to say this later again, but I'll say it here as well. If you don't attend the second opinion visit, they're just going to cut off your benefits until you go.
Yeah, so don't make it worse for yourself.
No, they're gonna starve you. They're gonna cut the oxygen off to this thing until you decide you want to breathe.
Yeah.
And then you'll go to the visit. So you have to go to the visit. But I'm going to get into that because I'm going to talk about the rules of this thing.
And Vivian said they sit with whoever is paying them, meaning DOL. Well, she's talking about second opinion doctors.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
You know, just hypothetically, if I could ever get a hold of the second opinion business myself, if I could just ever have control of it, they'd either fire me or I would change it.
We'll have to work on that then.
I'm serious about that.
I know.
I was serious about this when I decided to do this franchise too. So that's a tip, or that's a hint. That's a clue.
Kathy said, my manager's not providing me with work and my deductions are not being met. And Article 13 says otherwise.
Well, Article 13, that's pretty strong. You need to get your union involved. That's the only thing you can do, in my opinion, is get your union involved. I mean, you could do EEO, but everybody says that doesn't work. So that's what you have to do. File grievances. I'm sure your union reps are strong. I would use them.
You should.
Yeah.
And if they are not playing nice, that's when you go to the union. And then if they're not playing nice, you go to your either district or your NBAs and then to national. So there's a chain.
I like my union reps to not play nice, just as a general rule. Okay, so another reason for a second opinion exam is when there's a conflict in just the information the healthcare providers are giving them. So you've got like 2 or more doctors that say different things, and they're going to say, well, all right, you guys can't figure it out, so let's go to a second opinion. And this next one says quality assurance as part of a quality assurance measure to ensure accurate and comprehensive medical assessments. That doesn't even say anything. Those are all English words that don't mean anything even to me. So I guess they're just saying, we just think things could be better. Pretty ridiculous. The good news is that when a claims examiner asks for a second opinion, they actually have to have specific questions that the second opinion doctor is going to answer. So although number 5 here was like super vague, their questions must be specific. So that's the good news, that these second opinion visits are generally narrowed down to like 2 or 3 specific questions. Could be more, but I'm just saying 2 or 3 or 5 that the claim examiner says, hey, give me the information that I need right here. Number 6 is review of disability ratings. And this is disability. When there is a need to reassess the degree of disability or impairment. So let's say that you get a 35% impairment rating that's going to lead to a massively expensive schedule award to the government. Then they're likely going to send you to a second opinion doctor. And the same for just like disability ratings. But for OWCP purposes, let's look at impairment ratings because that leads to money, right? Schedule awards is money. So if there's a need to reassess the degree of impairment, AKA, wow, that's going to cost a lot. Let's say if we can get a doctor to say it's 3%, not 30. And I think that's what that's used for. But then I added 3 other things because these are 3 things that I think we can avoid. And in my opinion, these 3 things probably lead to more second opinion visits than any of the other ones I just read. And they should be on the list, at the top of the list. Number 1 is there's a consequential injury. That as a result of my right knee being hurt, I started limping. Now my left knee hurts. It happens, and you shouldn't avoid consequential injuries or try to do a consequential claim. But it is a thing that happens because the claims examiner says, oh, here we go. Now we're going to add this other body part, which means we're going to add X numbers of treatments because now we have to fix that thing. And maybe a second opinion doctor, wink, wink, maybe will say, no, that's due to just your life. You've got degeneration because just life, which is ridiculous. Okay. If anybody says that, don't believe it. The next thing is diagnosis expansions. I see this a lot. A diagnosis expansion is when in the beginning you were injured, your doctor diagnosed you with, let's say, a sprain, but it turns out you had a herniated disc or you had a torn ligament somewhere. And then later on an MRI shows that, and then they have to add that diagnosis or expand your claim to add a diagnosis. Lots of times the claims examiners will say, nah, not so fast. What are we doing here? Why are you adding this new diagnosis? Let's add a second opinion. So how do you avoid that? You make your doctor do the right job up front. Like with us, if we think you need imaging, you get an MRI right away. Guess who pays for that? Not you. Not if you're at federal injury centers.
Yeah.
Okay. For the vast majority of our locations, we have agreements with imaging centers that just say, hey, do us a favor, do what we do and wait till the claim gets accepted. You'll get paid just like us.
True.
That's it. That's all we say is you can have the referrals from our doctors to your MRI centers. Just don't bill the patient out of pocket. Bill OWCP, and that means you got to wait. You have to wait because it's OWCP. You got to wait till the claim's accepted.
And in Florida, because we live here, we're able to make those relationships. So most of our Florida doctors, our FIC doctors here, especially Dr. Lee and Dr. K, they've already locked, and Dr. Dorfman and Giuliani, they've locked down a handful of specialists.
So, we told them up front, what you need to do is get imaging centers like MRI.
Oh yeah, and MRI.
You need to get ortho surgeons, neurosurgeons, pain doctors, and you need to have agreements with them. And I mean that loosely. Okay, we don't do kickbacks and bribes. We don't do any of that. But they need to agree to wait until the claim's accepted, and then OWCP will pay them. It's not us giving them something. We're just saying this is how this works.
Yeah.
And specialists don't understand it. They just think, well, where's the health insurance? There's no health insurance. It's a work injury. You don't get health insurance on this. So we've been able to set these little pods of, networks of specialists so that doesn't happen if you're at federal injury centers.
I just want to give a shout out to Julia with AFGE Local 3930. Hey guys.
What's up? What's up? Welcome to the party.
We can't wait to come out and get you guys doing a lunch so we can come out and do a lunch and learn. So for 2024. So make sure you guys message me. So shout out to AFGE Local 3930 and the whole team.
We love our union folks that are here. And we're not just saying that. I'm not pandering. I'm not, I genuinely do. And when you know me, you know that's real. And I appreciate when union folks are here because occasionally a question comes up that might otherwise stump me. But instead of being stumped, I can defer it. See, you defer to someone else. You're not stumped. You just have somebody here that has that specific answer.
But yeah, we love all unions.
So I have one more reason that a second opinion exam may be ordered, and I left it last because I think it's the most important one that we spend some time on. And it's when you're off work too long. If you stay out of work for a long time, and long time, obviously that's subjective. What one person thinks is long, another person may not.
Right.
But if you're out of work too long, you're getting a second opinion visit. Okay. You're getting a second opinion visit because they want to send you back to work. And guess who else wants you to go back to work? Me. Badly. I want you back to work, but I want you back to work for a different reason. They want you back to work because it's expensive to keep you out of work. I want you back to work because you don't have to jump through hoops to get paid when you get there. Once you clock in, you're getting paid. So it's easy to avoid a second opinion visit when you're back at work. They're not going to send you to it when you're at work. If their only reason to send you is, well, this person's still off work, then we can avoid that by just clocking in. So the way we train our doctors is medically, you send every patient back to work as soon as medically possible. And I don't mean full duty. I mean with restrictions. As soon as possible, get people back to work so they can clock in. Because it's a pain. Like, I hear people talking all the time. It sucks so bad to fill out your CA7 claim for compensation perfectly and attach documentation and get denied payment. So when you're expecting a paycheck so you can pay your rent, instead you get a denial letter saying specifically your claim for compensation is denied because something crappy, right? And so if you just go clock in, you don't have to deal with that. And that's why I want you back to work. I'm not the company doctor. I just pay attention to what you're saying. I'm listening. And I know that it's awful when you can't pay your bills. It's awful.
We know.
So we want you to avoid all the stuff that's awful in OWCP. And one of the things you can do is go to work with restrictions as soon as medically possible and full duty as soon as medically possible. And so our doctors are trained to think of you like a person who has needs, and those needs are met by money. Like, we understand. So go back to work, and you'll also avoid second opinion visits that are a result of you being out of work. Now, I've had one person in my career, one doctor ever, who called me up and said, hey, Chris, there's this person who wants to go on vacation, and they ask if I can take them off work with a CA-17.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And I said, Doc, never, ever call me with that question again, because OWCP is not a vacation. Okay. You don't go on vacation with OWCP. You have, annual leave, and you can just use it. And nobody will penalize you for using your vacation time, even when you're on OWCP. You're allowed to use your vacation time and go on vacation. And they probably won't send somebody, a photographer, to Mexico with you to the resort to see if you're lifting something heavier than a cup of, margarita. But you want to definitely not try to use OWCP for vacation.
Yeah, beware. They do follow you.
Yeah, it's crazy what they do.
Investigators.
Yeah,
so we know that.
they're watching. They're taking pictures. But just set that aside. I mean, to me, that was just a funny story. We want you to go back to work because we think it's in your financial best interest to do so, period. And so don't stay out of work any longer than necessary. And I suggest that you tell your doctor, I don't want to stay home. Find restrictions that I can use. At a later time and in past times, we've talked about limited duty offers, and we'll discuss that again sometime. But just know that the best thing for you, so you don't have to do second opinions based on being out of work, and so you don't have to jump through hoops because you're doing CA7s for LWAP, is to try to get back and clock in. What other questions do we have right now?
All right, we have a ton of them.
Bring them.
All right. Kevin Woody. I had an injury at work and I'm again having issues. How many years from the original injury do I have to be able to file a re-injury? So there's no re-injury.
Well, I mean,
like paperwork.
Okay. So you have 3 years to report an injury.
Right.
3 years from the date of injury, or on a CA2, which develops over time. It's 3 years from when you were reasonably aware. In other words, your doctor told you that it was work related.
Right.
So it's always 3 years from when you're aware of the injury. On a CA1 that happened today, you're aware of it because it just happened. But something develops over time, you're not really paying attention sometimes. My knees hurt, my back hurts, my shoulder hurts, my elbows, every day. I'm talking about me. But when I sit and think, I'm like, why do my knees hurt? Oh, I was a football player. Why does my elbow hurt? Oh, I played racquetball in college. Like, I know why. Why does my shoulder hurt? Because I was a stupid in the gym. But when a doctor's like, well, what's wrong with you? Well, I don't know. Did you ever work out in a gym, Chris? Yeah, I did. Now I'm aware of the cause.
Right.
For you, it could be, well, aren't you a letter carrier? Don't you walk 10 miles a day for the last 20 years? Maybe that's why your knee's torn up. So anyways, you have 3 years to report injuries.
Doug Woods, I'm scheduled for my impairment rating for my knee replacement Monday. What can I expect?
Well, expect a physical exam and there's different ways doctors do physical exams. So I'm not going to tell you range of motion, strength testing. Sometimes they want you to do a functional capacity evaluation. Don't avoid those. They're okay to do. And then your doctor's going to write a narrative report. Hopefully it's good enough. And it's got to be based on the 6th addition to permanent impairment, not the 5th. And then you'll take that report and attach it to a CA7 claim for compensation, select letter D, schedule award, and turn that in by eComp.
ecomp.dol.gov.
That's right. And then from there, you just got to wait and see what their decision is.
I think this is cute, but you'll see why I say that. I need an MRI, and my center told me to pay out of pocket. I'm going to federal injury centers.
You think? You got hurt at work. Why should you pay out of pocket?
Right. I'm laughing because you said, I'm going to federal injury centers.
Well, you know what? We'll do a good job for you.
She said it's $580 for an MRI. So we don't know what the prices are. Every MRI center sets their own price.
But we know they're free if you come to one of our places.
Yeah. So know that.
They're not free. These guys are going to get paid, but it shouldn't come from you.
Cindy Adamson said, I have been through heck and back. I have called asking for someone to call me back, OWCP, and no one has called me to help. Can someone please call me to help me? Been injured for almost 2 years, have been accepted. How can you get a doctor that is not DOL? I'm not understanding your question.
So, I mean,
do you?
Doctors that are not DOL.
How can you get a doctor that is not DOL?
Yeah. Well, I mean, doctors that are DOL doctors typically stink at their job, or the ones that are listed on the doctor's list don't know that they're even listed. They don't know anything about this. You have the right to choose your own doctor. Even if you've already chosen one, you don't like it, change doctors. Just leave. Find somebody else. I'm struggling also answering the question because it's a little vague. If you've got something more specific you want to ask, please do. But my big answer is if you're at a red light, run it.
Yeah. I'm going to answer these. We're going to go through these questions because he still has more stuff to train on second opinion and nurse case managers. So here we go. Vivian said, I had 2 second opinions and been to a referee doctor who added another injury, her neck. No problem from Department
The referee doctor did that?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to know who that doctor is.
Yeah.
Seriously, I would love to know who that doctor is.
Yeah, if you can send us name and number and the address, that would be great.
If you can send me a message like, name, number, and address. I love good, honest doctors. I'd love to talk to this guy or lady.
All right. I'm just going to have Chris look at it before I have to read it. It's from Francis Locke because it's a long one just to read and he'll get confused. So let me just give it to him.
Don't sit in silence. This thing's going to be on a podcast. Talk about the podcast.
Oh, by the way, yes. All of our episodes from Wednesday Night Chats will be on our podcast. Okay. So anything that you're seeing or hearing right now will also be on our podcast. And last week, we launched our official podcast, the very first one, and thereafter. So whatever you're seeing on Wednesday Night Chats, we're going to send it on over to Breaking OWCP's podcast. So go find us and subscribe. I didn't know what the terminology was for podcasts.
All right. So I read that message and I'm going to summarize it.
And that's from Francis Locke.
Francis, thank you for that message. So here's what she said. That she went to a second opinion doctor. He barely looked at her, barely evaluated her. She brought reports. He said, I can't look at those reports, which I don't even know what that means. Your job is to look at reports. And then after doing almost nothing in the visit, he said that she could go back to work full duty. No problem. She's fully healed. All right. So that's what that was. Now, here's what you have to do. And everyone listen up on this one. I mean, everyone stop what you're doing and listen to what I'm about to tell you. This may be the most important thing I tell you on how to win a second opinion visit. You need to document, like have a pad of paper and a pen with you. Go old school. Okay. Paper and pen. Make it a yellow pad so they know you're writing stuff down. They can't tell you not to keep your yellow pad. Bring a yellow pad. And I want you to write on there the time you arrived to the minute. Don't round. If it's 9:12, don't say it was 9:10 or 9:15. I got there at 9:12. And then I want you to write the time that you made it into the exam room. I made it into the exam room at 9:23, exactly to the minute. And then I want you to write the time the doctor went into the room. Dr. So-and-so arrived into the room at 9:34 a.m. Not 35, don't round.
Yeah.
And then I want you to document the time the doctor finished the visit. The doctor left the room at 9:41 a.m. And then what time did you leave the office? I left the office at 9:46 a.m. You need to document your time in and time out. Time in the doctor, time out the doctor, because what's going to happen is this doctor is going to come up with like an 8-page report, and you're going to say, how did he get an 8-page report out of a 4-minute visit? And you're going to say that in a report that you're going to write to the claim examiner and to your doctor. In addition, you're going to note, did the doctor look at me? Did the doctor ask me questions? And what questions did the doctor ask me? Did the doctor read the reports I brought the doctor? And then I want you to take a CA-20 and a CA-17 and your doctor's narrative to the visit and hand it to the doctor. And if the doctor says, I can't take that, you need to write, I tried giving the doctor medical reports and the doctor refused to accept it and still wrote a narrative report after looking at nothing. And if the doctor writes or says comments like, I can't review your reports, write that down and be specific, word for word. The doctor said, I can't review those reports that you brought me, period. And then you need to put that in your own letter to your claimed examiner, copy it to your treating doctor, because your treating doctor is going to use that and say, I don't know what the second opinion doctor was doing, but when I did my exam, it was 45 minutes long. My report was five pages long. It included an MRI and an X-ray, nerve conduction studies, and blah, 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 right? But this gives ammunition, because these second opinion doctors that show up and spend 5 minutes and barely look at you, they're the ones that really bug me the most. And in fact, if I ever get control of the second opinion business, I'm firing every one of them. Every single one that only spends 5 minutes, I'm making a list.
We had somebody actually, we were talking to somebody. She said the second opinion doctor was in there for 3.2 minutes. And Chris is like, no.
But hey, she said that's the specifics I'm talking about. Yeah. So document the hell out of this thing, because I think it's a way, like, even if your claims examiner is having a bad day or the claims examiner is a jerk, okay? And they're not all, okay? And many of them are actually really good people. But even if they're bad, okay, and they look at this documentation and you documented it and it's in your case file because you e-comped it, the claims examiner can't ignore it. They've got to look at it and go, well, that's in the case file. It ain't never leaving the case file. What decision am I going to make? Exactly. And it puts a lot of weight on the claim examiner. And I like that, because the ones I know, the claim examiners I know, they don't put up with that stuff, right? They roll their eyes at your supervisors. They know the difference between a good C cop and a bad one. But unfortunately, the vast majority of claim examiners aren't the ones I know. That's all I'm saying. I don't know the vast majority. So you protect yourself by documenting the hell out of it.
Terry, don't ever think you're taking up our time. We're here to answer all your questions.
This is why we're here. Yeah. We love having your questions.
Said, sorry to take up more time, but I can go. Oh, can I go back to work with my signed CA-17 and medical from FIC, or do I have to wait for the second opinion?
No, I mean, look, if you're asking me, should you wait? I don't wait on anything. What do I wait for?
Nothing.
I'm impatient as hell. I'm not going to suggest that you wait at all. You can go and do everything you want to do in advance of the second opinion report coming out.
Michelle said, my second opinion was with me less than 20 minutes, didn't ask me any questions, didn't let me talk. He refused to look at the MRI and x-rays or other documents I took him. He said they sent him all he needed. Now I wouldn't have left there like that.
So I would document that now, but I can tell you this: the claims examiner is sending certain documentation to the second opinion doctor with specific questions. But still, also, why don't you ask the second opinion doctor, Dr. So-and-so, can you please tell me what questions specifically the claims examiner asked you to answer? You have a right to know. What questions do they want you to answer? That way you know what to say. If the doctor's question is, can this person bend over more than 60 degrees? And that's just a random question. I don't know where that came from. I'd say, hey, well, let's check. Let's check, doc. Do you have a goniometer somewhere? That's a range of motion device. Do you have one? It's actually old school. But let's check and see if I can bend over 60 degrees. Like, just if you know the questions that this doctor is answering, it helps you help yourself. What else?
All right. Debbie said, Comp closed my case. I had surgery on my left shoulder and bicep. My right was injured at the same time. How do I reopen my claim?
Okay, so if your claim was ever approved and it's closed, you reopen it with a letter of medical necessity from your doctor explaining why it needs to be reopened. You may have to fill out a CA2A notice of recurrence. You may have to. But that's how that works. Your doctor writes a letter of medical necessity that gets e-comped, and that explains to the claims examiner why you need more treatment or surgery or MRI or whatever.
Right. Thomas Sullivan said,
One more thing. They almost always open those. You have lifetime medical benefits. That's why I started with if your claim was ever approved. They can't stop things that are medically necessary on a claim that was approved.
Thomas Sullivan said, how long after getting a modified job offer do I have to review with my doctor before I accept it or decline it?
Thomas, that's a great question. The law, the Code of Federal Regulations says that the supervisor has to give you in writing, the the limited duty offer. They also have to send the limited duty offer to your claims examiner. Once your claims examiner reviews it and agrees that it's a valid offer, then the claims examiner tells you, hey, it looks like we have a valid offer. And then they give you, by rule, 30 days to review it. And if there's a dispute, they'll give you an extra 15 days. Now, the reason I'd like to teach that one is because, as you all know, your supervisors say, here's your limited duty offer. Sign it now or we're going to take it back.
Yep.
Well, that's against the rules.
Tanya said, how can I get an appointment? So if you want an appointment at any of our centers, please go to our website, www.federalinjurycenters.com. Click locations, and all the locations are listed.
I got to say this. Because you asked that question, it's important, especially for those of you that are new. You don't have to go to a Federal Injury Center's office to come here and get my help.
Correct.
We own Federal Injury Centers. It's our franchise like McDonald's. So obviously I prefer Federal Injury Centers, but you don't have to come here. That's my disclaimer. You don't have to go to Federal Injury Centers to come here and get help. I will help you until the end, no matter what. But if you want to go to our centers, go to that website right there.
That's it. Thomas also said, my second opinion doctor actually took my restrictions and wanted it changed in my favor.
Okay, so Thomas, I would also like you to send a message so I know who that doctor is and how to contact him. I like honest doctors. I'd love to meet this person.
And Josie said, I'm unable to see an orthopedic unless OWCP is approved. It's been a crazy year going in blindfolded.
Yeah, well, that's the case because orthopedic doctors who just basically do surgery, they don't want to mess with getting your claim accepted. They don't have time to write, comprehensive reports. They just want to do surgery. That's what they do. In Federal Injury Centers, we just, like I said earlier, we have networks of specialists like orthos who understand that when the claim gets approved, they'll get paid. And so we have a way that we work with orthos because we explain the system to them. Not that they're part of our franchise, because they're not in any case, but we do help them understand how it's in their interest to work with you.
Okay, I'm going to read a couple more and then we're going to keep on going. Anita said, is it possible to go back to work using sick leave after being on LWOP?
Is it possible to go back to work using sick leave?
Is it possible to go back to using sick leave after being on LWOP?
Yeah, so you can use sick leave anytime. That's yours. But I don't recommend it. I mean, if your claim's accepted, I would not use sick leave. I just wouldn't. It's your personal decision. Do what you want. But LWOP is there to pay you, so you don't have to use your sick leave. But can you? Yeah, you can.
Francis Locke said, what is even worse is that I filled out an intake form when I arrived at the second opinion doctor, and he didn't even review or look at it, and it showed all the symptoms and injuries. I have been dealing with this as well. I had a medical report with me from my doctor on top of that. I don't know how any doctor is allowed to treat patients like this. I'm glad you guys are giving us this information because we're going to use it in good use. Trust me.
Believe me, because
hypothetically,
if I ever get in charge of the second opinion stuff, I'm going to know this stuff. Yeah, keep going.
Cindy said, how do you get a new claims examiner when the one you have is not doing what you need?
Well, that one's tough because you can request it. You can write a letter to the supervisor, to the claims examiner, and ask for a new one and give them a good reason. But there's no guarantee the next one's going to be any better. But there's an absolute guarantee that if the current one finds out and you don't get changed, that things aren't going to be better. So I try to find more honey and less vinegar, because the claim examiners have a lot of control. A lot. You can do it. Look, they can change claim examiners. There's no guarantee it's going to be
Right.
better.
We
for
heard
you.
that, but it's, yeah, what Chris said is right. Rhonda said, is there a time frame to claim COP? Yes.
Well, yeah. You have to report your CA1 injury within 30 days to have COP. And then COP ends either after 45 days of COP or if your claim gets accepted first, whichever happens first.
All right. And does LWOP hurt when it's time to retire?
Well, I mean, hurt is pretty broad. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but there are aspects of workers' comp where your benefits don't grow, and there are aspects of workers' comp where they do.
And last one is not a question. I go to the Federal Injury Centers in Paramus, New Jersey. Thank you. They are great. Answer all my questions. Way to go.
I'm really happy to hear that.
All right. We're going to, if you have any more questions, you can go ahead and write them down about second opinions and nurse case manager. And now Chris is going to be talking about second opinions and referee doctors.
Yeah. So what I did here is I'm the nerd who reads all the laws. So I know all the laws in this black book. I have every law and every rule related to second opinion doctors and referee exams. A referee exam is like a third doctor where there's a dispute between your doctor and the second opinion doctor. They send them to another one. They call it a referee. And that's like the final answer, right? So what I did is I have all the rules, but to make it easier for me in the future when I have control of second opinion is I summarized all the laws. And so I'm just going to kind of give you the high points of the laws because I think they're so important to you. This one, and these are all from the Code of Federal Regulations. Second opinion exams are required. Okay. What does that mean? It means you have to go. Okay. You must go. You can take your own doctor to the exam. So people say, who can I take? A doctor. You can take a doctor to your exam. But if your doctor disrupts the exam, and disrupt is not defined. So technically speaking, a second opinion doctor could say that your doctor disrupted the exam by asking a question. I'm just saying it could be because they don't define disrupt. So as long as there's no disruptions, the doctor can stay. If there's a disruption, they can end the exam, send you out, stop your benefits until the next second opinion exam is scheduled. So be very careful there. Next one, OWCP makes decisions based on the weight of the medical evidence. I said this. If your doctor, your treating doctor writes great narrative reports, you're probably going to win these. If your treating doctor writes one paragraph narrative reports, you're going to lose. When OWCP can't determine which opinion has greater weight, they say a referee doctor. The referee has to be the right specialty, so that's nice, and can never have been involved in the case. And the employee is not entitled to take anyone else unless it's your doctor or an interpreter. So an interpreter, of course, makes sense. That includes sign language. That includes any interpretation. Whatever you need, an interpreter is always allowed as long as they don't disrupt. OWCP pays second opinion doctors and referee doctors directly. That is interesting. Who's paying them? OWCP.
But we've heard some of you have to give them cash. I've gotten messages on this that they've had to pay money up front.
So I'd like to know that.
Yes.
If you ever get told you've got to pay money out of your pocket, I'd like to hear that because that's probably grounds for overturning a second opinion visit opinion. But it also says in this same law, OWCP will reimburse the employee all expenses related to these visits, but you shouldn't be required ever to pay out of your pocket to go.
She paid $250.
Well, that should be disqualifying. If anybody pays cash to the office, that should disqualify that doctor's report. Unless it's a great report, then let's keep it quiet and just get reimbursed our $250.
I got to just tell you this. This
Go
is
ahead.
from Thomas, the TSA guy, our buddy in New York, New Jersey. He said,
"What's up?
Watching you guys while I sip on this E.H. Taylor. Love watching you guys. World of knowledge. Aw.
Let's just take a second and just acknowledge that he's drinking good bourbon.
Yes.
E.H. Taylor's good bourbon. If you don't like bourbon, you'll still like E.H. Taylor.
Oh, and Thomas, I did a special Doll's Kitchen for you tonight. I made sure I ran back to get my camera to take pictures. Ask Chris and my son.
She did. She said, nobody eat yet. Everybody back away from the dinner.
So that'll come after this. All right.
All right. Here's the next law. If the employee refuses to attend the visit or obstructs the visit, benefits can be cut off until the employee submits to the visit. Submits. I mean, like submission. They literally put that word in there. Submission. Submit. Until you submit to the visit or end the obstruction. So in other words, go to the visit and tell whoever came with you to keep quiet. But take good notes. Like if you bring your doctor, hey doc, can you take good notes too? That'd be great. If you have an interpreter, could you take good notes too? That'd be great. Take good notes from me, and you also take your own notes. Any compensation already paid during the obstruction period will be subject to recovery. So they'll ask for money back. So don't do it. Look, nothing. The rest of this law says nothing good happens by obstructing or avoiding going to these visits. You got to show up.
Yeah.
The next law, the agency may be able to require an independent medical exam independent of FICA to determine if they can return to work. Okay, so that's the law, but I've never seen it happen. I've never seen the agency being able to require another exam. I know it's in the law, but it doesn't happen. So don't tell your supervisors.
Well, you don't know if it happens. It doesn't happen.
Well, nobody's been involved in more of these cases than I have.
No, I get that.
Nobody. And I've never seen it happen once.
Okay. Well, that's good.
So those are laws. And because I summarized them, I didn't have to read any of the laws to you and put you to sleep. So I can just skip these pages, which is cool. So that's all I've got on that. We'll answer the questions on that, and then I'll talk about nurse case managers.
Right. Victor says, hola, I'm back.
What up?
Nina said, hi from Texas.
What's up,
hi,
Nina?
guys. How about those Cowboys? Oh, them Cowboys.
That's 90s talk. That
Oh.
Nina she just aged herself.
All right. Kim Vannerman said, I went to a second opinion doctor once and he had no records from DOL, no doctor's report. My last second opinion doctor, when you get an increase in your pay, should your comp go up too? I've gotten several pay increases, but no increase in comp pay.
Okay, so that's two parts of that. So part one is they didn't have any records. You document that. And document how you know that. Okay, did they say it? Who said it? Right? Because trust me, a doctor just walking in without a chart doesn't mean anything because of electronic records. So be accurate on that, because you make an inaccurate accusation, that's just going to hurt you.
Yeah.
But it probably does happen. I'm not suggesting it doesn't happen. It probably does. But as far as the pay goes, if you're out of work all this time, they're going to keep you at your pre-injury status, except, and I learned this from Eric Blowers, except if there's like a system-wide pay increase. Okay, every carrier is getting a 3% increase. Well, you're getting that too. But outside of that, you're going to be stuck at your pre-injury pay rate, even if pay rates have gone up since you were hurt. It's not fair, but what do I say about fairness? It doesn't exist in OWCP, so we have to get past it. If you ever feel, though, that your pay is not correct, go straight to your union. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200 unless they're just handing them out, and I'll take it too.
Don't pass go. Mary said, will you ever open a center in Indianapolis? We will.
Yeah,
For
why not?
sure.
Yeah, there's no city off limits to us. The only reason we haven't opened in the places we're not opened is because we haven't found doctors to say yes.
And that is not on us. That is the doctors.
It's on the doctors.
Yeah.
For every one that we have, we've had 100 that said no. Because as you all know, doctors don't want to help you. And so it's an all-day battle uphill trying to get doctors to say yes to you. But we're doing some new strategies trying to help you to do better, to have more doctors coming in the next year. We've got a lot of new things going. This is strategic planning time, so we're doing a lot of that stuff right now.
Yeah. Vivian said, all my letters said, go by yourself. No one can attend the office visit with you on all my paperwork.
But the law says you can take your doctor and you can take an interpreter. I'm just saying. Almost no doctors I know would go to it, but interpreters always go. Interpreters come to visits with us too. Like, it happens. So you can, those are two you can take. I'm just saying, you absolutely can take those two.
Emma said, hi from Bakersfield, California.
What's up?
I've learned so much from the both of you. I love listening to you. I take this knowledge and help carriers over here with the help of Federal Injury Centers of Thousand Oaks. Thank you so much.
Hey,
Aw,
and we love you in California.
thank you.
We have been welcomed with open arms in California, and we really appreciate that. Nobody, I don't want to say nobody. Florida's been great. Virginia's been great, but few others. Alabama's been great. Have
Yes.
welcomed us in to teach the way California has, especially APW. So shout out to APW in California and all over the country, especially Florida as well.
Oh, don't forget to vote AJ Johnson
In
for
Florida.
president. Please go vote. If you know AJ with APW, go
And by the
vote.
way, we know that when we pick sides like that,
And
that
we're not
if
picking a side. I don't even
no,
know
no,
who's going against
I'm
her.
gonna go ahead and just say the whole thing
I'm
because
just
it's
saying.
I like honesty. I know that when I pick sides with somebody, if that somebody loses, and she ain't gonna lose, but if they lost, I know that could hurt us. But the only way it can hurt us is if that person who does win tells you don't go do what's in your best interest and go to federal injury centers.
Right.
You're not going to do that to yourself. So I just default to loyalty to my friends, and I think AJ is a fantastic lady. Period. I really do.
I don't think anybody would go up against her,
I'm a
though,
huge fan. I
So
wouldn't. She's also a
you better
powerhouse.
win. Samara Marie said, when they give you contract raises and COLA raises where everybody in the craft gets the raise, our comp pay still does not go up. Is this wrong?
Well, I have been told. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a federal employee, and this isn't actually OWCP related, but it is pay related. But I've been told that when it's system wide, that you're entitled to the increase as well. But again, please go double check with your union on that. I'm pretty sure I didn't just get stumped, but just in case, go check with your union.
All right. So now we're going to go ahead. I know the questions have come to a pause. We're going to go ahead. Now we're going to talk about nurse case managers.
Vivian said she's in Woodbridge, Virginia, and Dr. Mack is great.
Awesome.
Thank you. We agree.
So
Okay.
let's talk about nurse case managers. What's a nurse case manager?
So a nurse case manager's job essentially is to facilitate your care and help you get back to work. Unfortunately, too many nurse case managers are overzealous and they try to push you to do things that aren't ready, or they push your doctors to do things that aren't ready. And like we have case managers in all of our offices, we have a case manager, and in their job description, one of the things in their job description says you are not to be concerned with money at all. It doesn't matter to you what your doctor gets paid. It doesn't matter to you what you get paid. And it doesn't matter to you what your patients are getting paid. Your job is not to care about money because your job is just to facilitate getting a claim accepted, period. Answer questions, get claims accepted. Well, nurse case manager's job is to get you back to work from OWCP. But I think too many of them, and I can't give you a certain number, but I think too many of them are influenced by how much money has been paid on an injury claim.
Yeah.
Or how much money is being paid to someone who's off of work. When the money's not the issue, a person that's off of work a long time, of course, that's expensive to the system, but that's not the bigger issue. The bigger issue is you're off of work, and that's a pain. Like we need to get you back so you're, not struggling and you're not jumping through hoops to get paid. But for the most part, I think nurse case managers, their job description is one that I believe is pure. I think they're meant to do something that's good for you, but sometimes they don't. I can tell you examples, and I'm going to get to rules and stuff, but we had a nurse case manager once who came into one of our offices and said to the patient,
"Oh yeah,
you're in a chiropractic office. You can't be here. Come with me." Okay, well, that's not the rule. You can go to chiropractors' offices. There's no rule that says you can't go to a chiropractor. The rule specifically says about chiropractors, by the way, that they can treat subluxations and they can do physical therapy. So if you're in a chiropractor's office doing physical therapy, you're fine because that's the rule. But in this case, the chiropractor, as in all of our offices, had a medical doctor and nurse practitioner on staff. And so this nurse case manager did the wrong thing. Incidentally, that nurse case manager never stopped doing the wrong thing and now has a restraining order because we don't play around. If you hurt our patients, we're not just going to stand by and let it happen. So this one has a restraining order. She's not able to come near the office. But there are countless examples since I've been doing this since 2007 of nurse case managers that come in and say, hey, to the doctor, what can we do together to help this person? What do you need from me? And I've even had nurse case managers that refer to our offices and say, you do this better than everyone else. And if I have a client at your office, it's less work for me because you're doing the job I want you to do because you get 87% of people back to work. And so there's two ends of the spectrum. And thankfully, most of my experience with nurse case managers is the latter. It's the one that just wants to do good, but sometimes they do bad, and we have to do bad to them too. So what happens if you have a nurse case manager that is not working in your best interest? You write a letter to the claims examiner and tell them to remove that nurse case manager from your case, and they will do it. It doesn't mean they won't give you another one that's equally as bad, but they may give you another one that's great. So you can always remove a nurse case manager. And people always ask also, do I have to allow the nurse case manager to come into the doctor's office with me?
Or the room.
Yeah, into the room.
Yeah,
into the room, like into the exam room with me. And you don't have to, but I always say this, unless you are embarrassed and you have a speaking anxiety, you don't want to talk in front of them, that's okay. You don't have to. If you sense that person is not working in your best interest, you don't have to.
Yeah.
But if you think that there's nothing wrong with this nurse case manager and this person has your best interest, there's no reason not to let them in. But it is your choice. You don't have to. And that's important. But you can't prevent them from talking to your doctor because that's their job. It's in their job description to communicate with the doctor, but you don't have to be in the room. But the other side to not being in the room is you also don't hear what's said. And I kind of want to know everything that's being said, right? But that becomes a personal decision to you. But what are nurse case managers supposed to do? I have a list. Facilitate communication to ensure a coordinated approach to medical care. In other words, they're just saying, hey, let's make sure we're all running in the same direction. That to me makes perfect sense. Ensure compliance with prescribed therapies and interventions. So I think this one's good because one of the things that just really gets under my skin is someone gets their claim accepted and then they stop going to therapy. They stop going to their doctor's visits. I'm like, well, wait, your claim got accepted. You're not going to get better at the speed that you want to get better if you don't go get the treatment. And so a nurse case manager, one of her jobs or his jobs is to make sure that treatment happens. They're there to help injured workers recover and return to work, which I think is their core job. Providing updates on the individual's medical status. A nurse case manager will show up, ask a bunch of questions, and then tell whoever needs to know, the agency, the claims examiner. And that's okay. They're supposed to communicate. So that's one of their jobs. To develop and implement appropriate care plans. Now, they don't make medical decisions. And so I tell our doctors, remember who's the doctor in the room, and the nurse case manager is not one of them. But it's okay to take their input, whether you accept it or not. It's okay to hear it. Provide information and education to injured workers. I like this one because you don't need that. Just come here. To facilitate a safe and timely return to work. Well, we said that already, but they found a way to reword it. And number 7, providing reports to OWCP as required. So, we e-comp all the reports, everything. OWCP gets it, but I understand not all doctors do. And so a nurse case manager may help with that. And I highlighted this. The determination of whether a nurse case manager is needed in a workers' comp case is typically made by the claims examiner. So it's always asked of me, who decides who the nurse case manager is? The claims examiner. That's why when we want to remove them, we write a letter to the claims examiner. So I said all that fast. Do we have questions?
Yeah. Cindy said Tallahassee has no injury centers. Okay. And then Emma, thank you. Yeah. You go to federalinjurycenters.com, click locations, and you have it there. You may have to do. Okay. That's talking to her. Samara Marie said, my last case manager never met me in person. She only caused periodically. She said since COVID, they work remotely.
What? Huh. Okay, maybe some of them do, but in my recent experience, nurse case managers show up.
So I had a little accident today. If you see me wiggling around, it was funny.
Wasn't funny to me.
I tripped over my son's bag.
I thought I was gonna have to grab a gun and kill somebody.
So I tried.
Why is my wife screaming?
I see the edge of the wall. I tried to avoid breaking my brain open in 2 pieces, and then I went down. I hit my knee, but I wanted to laugh, but I was in so much pain, and now I feel it in my back.
Anybody here ever experienced anything like that? When you fall down, it was originally your knee, but it turns out your back hurts too. No, I'm going to tie this back in because if you hurt your knee in a fall and your back's twinging a little bit, but you're only focused on the knee, guess what? Later on, you're going to have to do a diagnosis expansion and a second opinion visit's coming. So be sure you tell your doctor everything on the first visit. Don't leave anything out. Don't be the rub some dirt on it crowd that it'll just get better. Document everything.
I'll tell you right now, if I was a federal employee and I fell the way I did today, and it was my knee and all my toes and now my back, oh, you bet I'm going to be putting it on there. I'm not letting this go.
I'd be going straight for the schedule award because
I know, right? Vivian said, if you're hurt on the job, do you have to do a RCA?
RAC.
RAC, sorry.
Okay, so Vivian, I don't know what RAC means. Can you put those, like, all three of those words, and then I'll answer your question. If you're hurt on the job, do you have to do RAC?
Kevin Andrew says, sounds like something E.H. Taylor can help with.
Well, it can definitely make you forget about it.
I don't drink bourbon or whiskey. I really don't drink. If you ever
Victor,
see...
this woman's always on the clock. From the second she wakes up to the second she goes to sleep, I keep her on the clock.
I should freaking file a claim.
I keep her on the clock.
Oh my God, it was funny but painful. I really was pushing myself from breaking my head open, and I got my knee. But the way I twisted, now that's why you see me moving around.
So Barb said that she's in Maine, and her nurse case manager called her from Alabama.
What?
Okay, so that's a bad sign because I have bad experience with Alabama. Guess what state the nurse case manager was in that had a restraining order? And that person called her asking for help. And the nurse case manager said she had to close her file.
Yeah, why?
WTF. And I know what that stands for. Yeah, I would write a letter immediately to your claims examiner and say, what the heck? Why is there some random person from Alabama who doesn't know anything about me calling me saying they're going to close a case? Maybe they should talk to my doctor first.
Vivian said reasonable accommodation.
Okay. So if you're hurt on the job, yes, reasonable accommodation is basically part of the thing scrolled, and I couldn't read it again. It essentially is like limited duty. They have to make reasonable accommodations in an effort to find a limited duty offer for you. Now, they don't have to buy you an $8,000 chair to sit in, okay?
Right.
But maybe sometimes they have to give you a chair that's got a little bit of padding on it, right? So they are required to make every effort possible to get you back to work.
Victor, ask Chris for your CA forms and make sure he pays you for everything. I think I'm going to do that tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, anybody ever heard of File 13? So File 13 that's like the trash can. It's in File 13. So we can find her a CA 13. I don't want it to go to the trash can.
Oh, you're going to be like the stupid advisors.
I could never be like them.
Cindy Adamson said, mine was in Tennessee. I'm in Florida.
Same deal. What? Hey, we've never even met each other. How do you know what's going on with me? Sometimes a little common sense and being reasonable helps. Not a nurse claims examiner, a nurse case manager. That's who comes into the office and like facilitates things. The claims examiner is who pays you and pays the doctors and makes all the decisions in your case, including like the decision to send you to a C cup.
Okay, so now I want to know this because a lot of people are saying that their nurse case managers are in different states. Is there a rule on this that they have to be in the same state or not?
No.
Okay. That one hasn't came up here.
Yeah, your nurse case manager doesn't have to be in your state, but I don't know how they visit with your doctor otherwise. How do they do that?
Terry said, my case nurse is great. She's not in the state. I think she's new. I think she's a little surprised at how unrecognized they are and the lack of communication to other agencies involved. I agree. I never get paid on time.
And I agree that most nurse case managers are great. Like the vast majority. I think the exception to the rule is the ones that aren't good. But those are the ones I tend to focus on because I don't like you guys getting hosed.
See, I'm an RN and I could never look at somebody and say, I am very private. Like if I go to the doctor, it's either Chris or nobody. Like I don't want somebody else coming in with me, and I would respect that. And I wouldn't be so mean like some of these are.
I'm going to read this because it can't go. Vivian Johnson said they were asking things that were on my CA-17, but wanted me to put it in my own words. All right, let me give you some words to say.
What? What does that mean?
Hey, Vivian, put your doctor's CA-17 into your own words. What do you think this says? What does it mean? What does it mean to you? Those are the ways you put things in your own words. Vivian, these are your words. I'm not a doctor. I'm not sure how to translate that.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't have the words to put that into because I'm not a trained physician. Please go talk to my doctor.
I like that.
Don't let them corner you into saying things that you're not expert at. It's like asking me to tell you how nuclear fusion or fission works or whatever the word is. How does Elon Musk send planes in or jets, rockets into space? I don't know. Well, put it into your own words. They fly and there's fire that comes
Right.
out the back.
It's not going to make sense.
Like, what do I know?
Right.
There's a pointy thing at the top of it and it goes in that direction. I don't know. How does cell phones work? I put it to my phone or put it to my ear and I hear stuff. Like, I'm not a cell phone expert. Don't let them make you be an expert in this.
Victor said, Chris is not a stupid advisor.
Damn right I'm not.
Happy 40. Oh, thank you, Victor.
That's what I said, and they stopped the meeting. Well, you know what? That's a good use of your time. We're done.
Wow.
Fantastic. I'm going home now.
Wow. That's really messed up.
They can't make you translate medical reports into your own language. That's just ridiculous. Look, I've been working for a doctor. I'm about to be 49. I started working for a doctor when I was 20. I've never worked for anybody but doctors since I was 20, except for like the time I was personal training and strength coaching. And with all of my years working for doctors, I would very confidently say, I don't know. And I speak the language because I've been around it my whole life. But I'm not a doctor. I can't put a doctor's opinion into my own words. I don't understand what came into making the opinion. The decision-making process to developing that opinion is why I don't know the answer. I know what it means if it says I can only lift 30 pounds occasionally. I know what that means, but I can't put into my own words what the doctor means by that or why they came up with that decision. That's just ridiculous. And I could keep going on that because that's just dumb. And you're welcome, Vivian.
Sorry. Kim Van Orman said, I got lucky. My nurse case manager was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. I think that's the rule. The exception are the bad ones. The vast majority, I think, are great. Like I said, so many have referred to us. They're not against us. They're with us helping you. I think it's awesome. But you got to just beware. Like, some of them aren't. And that's how it goes. But that's in all societies. Some people in all walks of life are not good.
Hey, Georgia. Georgia's on.
Georgia, what's up?
I'm like looking at him like, do you know which one I'm talking about?
Well, Vivian said, all I know is I'm still hurt. And I believe that. I know. But yeah, hey, Georgia.
Dr. Cooper said, E.H. Taylor, nice choice.
So Dr. Cooper, he knows his bourbons.
He does too.
I've seen his stock. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Sorry, I'm flipping through the different social medias to see what comments are there. Don't go quiet. Talk about something.
Okay. So while we're having dead air, see, okay, all of this is now being put into a podcast. So our buddy Robert, who is our podcast expert, because I'm not it, he's freaking amazing, by the way. He takes these and he turns it into a podcast. It's the Breaking OWCP podcast with Chris and Gini. You can download the podcast at Spotify, at Apple, wherever you get podcasts. You can download it and subscribe to our podcast. It's called Breaking OWCP. There's only 2 OWCP podcasts, but I don't think you need to bother with the other one. I listened to it. It's a little sleeper, but I'm sure it's great information. I just couldn't stay awake. But it's probably actually really good, but I couldn't stay awake through it. But go ahead and it's tough. I fall asleep when I'm listening to my favorite podcast.
Yes, that's true.
Sometimes I listen to a podcast and just to fall asleep. It's like, hey, this guy's going to talk me to sleep. Like, yes, that guy is going to talk me to sleep. No comments, Victor. But if you download Breaking OWCP, then you'll be able to hear this, or your friends will be able to hear this tomorrow or whenever Robert gets it out, but by Friday for sure. And then you'll be able to hear it on your route or during your shift so that if you weren't available tonight. And that's going to be really important, especially during the Christmas holiday coming up, because lots of you, the postal employees for sure, you're going to work a ton of overtime. And for all of you that are on the West Coast, you're getting off of work right now.
Yeah. Oh, no, not with the holidays right now.
No, but like on a regular basis, you're now getting off of work. So you're missing Breaking OWCP or you're missing Wednesday Night Chats. So all of this is going to be on the podcast at Breaking OWCP. You have to go and download it, subscribe. Please subscribe. It helps us to know how many subscribers we have. And it's been a rapid increase. It's been unbelievable. Robert says that we've got more people subscribed than anybody he has seen in the time period that we've been live on this podcast. So I'm really grateful to all of you that have come in and subscribed to it. But for those of you that haven't, now's a good time.
All right. Kevin said just scored a bottle of Daniel Weller the other day.
So this thing has devolved into bourbon talk. That's fine. I mean, I'll have a podcast called Bourbon Talk, maybe.
Just mind you, I've said this to him to go on TikTok and talk about bourbon and do different bourbons. So if you think he should, give me a bunch of hearts, because I've been telling him to do this, and I know he's going to strike it big with a lot of whiskey and bourbon companies just for fun. It's a hobby of his.
I just don't listen good, but I mean, I hear it.
Thank you, everybody. Look,
everyone thinks I should do a bourbon podcast.
Yeah, no, the TikTok about
a bourbon TikTok.
Yeah. and Kevin said I'm in.
All right.
So Victor said, F postal employees here in Central Florida working lots of hours.
but that's the life of a postal employee during the holidays, and then even after Christmas. Those of you that aren't postal employees,
I was just about to say that.
You should know that the postal employee's job does not end when Christmas ends.
They start,
because now there's returns.
They start, I think, like mid-September or early October, and they go till literally February, March, because then everybody's returning packages and Amazon's got to pick up oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Like somebody, this is not funny, I'm sorry I'm laughing, but like somebody delivers a 70-pound package, right, for Christmas, and that person gets in and is like, oh, I don't want it, I'm returning it, and now you got to go re-get that 70-pound package and take it back. That's not fair. And so yeah, it doesn't end. When it ends for us, it doesn't end.
Sorry, Dr. Dorfman. I think you should drink bourbon, then do a TikTok.
Dave. All right. So those of you that don't know, Dr. Dorfman's on. He's in Melbourne, Florida. He's on the east coast of Florida. He's a good friend of mine, and he loves to jab me a little bit. And my TikTok videos are not funny, although some of them are funny. Anyway, the ones with her are funny.
Oh, gosh, no.
The ones with mine are just informative, or maybe like informative. But yeah, thanks, Dave. Appreciate that.
She said, Victor said, Sarojini, don't talk about whiskey, because in Ocala, I was with Dr. Dorfman and Chris at the bar. Where was Gini sleeping? He's never going to let that one down ever.
Okay, so I can one up that one, because I was in Dallas and she was hanging out with a bunch of
BOP guys.
Not prison guards. They don't want to be called that.
Officers.
They are officers, yeah. And they were doing tequila shots, and I don't do that. I'm just out. And so,
but I like tequila.
Eric went to bed, I went to bed, and she stayed up and did way too many tequila shots. And we're just going to end the story there. We're going to end it there.
Yeah, let's end it. I normally, if you guys see me on my Facebook pages, I do one drink, 2 max if I want the flavor. But it's always one. But tequila, I don't know.
So anyways, there's no way I'm going to be able to tie this back into OWCP. So what other questions do we have related to the topic?
Yes.
Because we're already 17 minutes over.
Jessica said, mine was the same. She called, accused me of doing dangerous things by going to federal injury centers. I told her she was wrong, and she sent me a card saying she was no longer my nurse.
Yeah, you think? And by the way, where are you located, Jessica?
That's so cute.
It's dangerous to go to federal injury centers. How? You got your claim accepted, you got better, and you got back to work.
Look how she said it. Wrong.
Oh my God.
That's why I emphasized it.
No, seriously. So, okay, look. Our claims acceptance rate pushes 100. Okay, I don't know. At any given time, it's a moving target. It moves up and down, depends on the number of people. But roughly 93%, with the last 7% just in process. They haven't been decided on. Occasionally, something gets denied, and we appeal it, and we win that. So that's why we're at a high, 93+% acceptance rate. But our return to work rate is something like 87%. Explain to me what's dangerous about going to a place that gets your claim accepted, gets you back to work, and has compliance built in to the entire system. Everything we do is about compliance. I just wrote a book about compliance, and it's the only book on the planet about the topic. Do you think we care about it? I think we care about it a lot. What's dangerous about going to federal injury centers?
That's funny. But here's the thing. It's just a rumor. One person must have said
ridiculous.
something, whether it's federal injury centers gets
It was
claims
an injury
accepted.
comp person. It was one of your
Yeah.
supervisors. It wasn't your claims examiner. It's not normally your nurse case manager. It's typically somebody inside your agency.
Yeah, and they just tell them this, and this is what happens. This is not our first time hearing this.
A friend of mine who I trained, by the way, he's not in the franchise, but I trained him. He's a good friend of mine. He had an OIG officer show up at his office and say, there was a complaint made by HR at the VA hospital.
Yeah.
And I've got to investigate it. And this friend of mine, the doctor, I'm not going to use his name. That's not fair. But he said, all right, come on in. Can I get you some coffee? Because he ain't worried about it. Why isn't he worried about it? He's using my system, mine. Okay. And it works. And at the end of the visit, the OIG officer said, I wasted my whole day. I'm closing this case. I'm never coming back. That's the way we work. So what's dangerous about coming here? Your supervisors and HR people are the idiots, not us. Like, we're in it for the long run.
Yeah. So
all these people that have done the bad things and committed fraud and that went to jail, they're not federal injury centers doctors.
Yeah. And when you hear the nurse case managers say that, trust me, it's not coming from below. It's just coming from there. Like he said, the HR. And we know one too in Florida that got in trouble because of the same thing. And she's no longer at the VA because of this.
And as long as I'm having this conversation, let me just say this, like, just very candidly. To the unions out there, it's time to just let up on this subject. There are some union people, I'm not saying unions, some people in the unions that say, don't go to federal injury centers because, companies like this end up getting busted for fraud. Buddy, there's never been a company like this, ever. There's never been a company like this, period. Okay? We care more about compliance than money. We care more about return to work than money. We get cases accepted for breakfast. It's how we operate. I don't even know what we're mad at. All of the union people should love us because we're all working in the same direction for the same people. I'm helping the same people that unions are charged with helping.
And we're not taking anyone's job
and nobody
away.
pays dues to me to help. Okay, so
yeah,
let's all just get on the same page. I love you guys, but man, a little love back wouldn't hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like a little love back.
The ones that are loving us.
And plenty of them. And by the way, Victor's one of them. I mean, we got tons and tons and tons of union friends. Okay. Just like nurse case managers and only a small fraction are not good. Same thing with all walks of life. Okay.
Yeah.
And doctors, only a small fraction of doctors are non-compliant assholes that want to go to jail. Okay. It's true. But none of those are federal injury centers doctors. Period. All right.
What did Rhonda say?
Shout out to Dynamic Health Carolinas. Love them. I love them too.
Rhonda Hale said, my second opinion doctor said he won IGO should be shut down. I reported him.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Rhonda goes to Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a second opinion doctor that if I ever get control of second opinions is going to be the first one out the door. But he's just got it out for that office. Every single decision he makes is a bad decision.
Story, yes.
We even had to have a lawyer send a letter to the guy saying cease and desist because it's just that bad. And he's trying to hurt our office there, but all he's doing is hurting you. He's not hurting us. We're still here. He's hurting you because every negative decision he makes hurts you. And that's not okay. Rhonda said, yep. And that's why, like, we sent a cease and desist to that nurse case manager over there. And we sent a cease and desist to this guy over here. We're not having it. We are here to help you. Whoever is not on board with that, get out of the way. Like, we're not here for just us.
No.
That's not why we do this. No. I created this company because you need doctors. If you said I need lollipops, I'd have a lollipop company. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I said lollipops.
Jessica said, I have not felt any love from my union, so I don't think they like us broken folk.
I can't speak to that. Fortunately for me and Gini, the union people that we're close with love the hell out of you. I don't know your folks, and so I can't speak to it, but we're close with people that want to help, and I think that's probably natural. I can't get close to people that don't want to help.
All right, guys, we went over the hour, but it's okay. Because here's what's going to happen. Next week will be our last Wednesday night chats till January again, the first Wednesday in January, if it's not on New Year's or whatever fall, whatever, you know what I mean.
We haven't looked at the calendar yet. I almost said map. We haven't looked at the map yet. The map of days on a calendar.
So next week, the 6th, will be the last one. We're going to do Q&A, so bring all of your questions, get it out. But we're still going to be posting about, maybe some rules, some laws, things Chris likes to pop up there.
And our podcast we're still recording podcasts.
We're still going to be doing podcasts. So listen, because if you haven't noticed, I put the message out, hey, we're going to go live on our podcast in 1 hour. Go to breakingowcp.com. So those of you that are on here, just go on over to breakingowcp.com. And when we go live, you can actually see us. And if there's any questions, we will answer them live.
Yeah, we answered a couple of questions a couple of days ago.
So do that. And then this way we're off. We have time to think about what we're going to put on our agenda for next year for you guys. And and a shout out to the union presidents and the union officials. Don't forget 2024. Those of you that have said you wanted us to come train for 2024, and there's been over 100 of you, and we are a limited.
That many?
Yeah, total.
Dude, I'm one guy.
Yeah, so
there's only 52 weeks in a year.
Get it in now. Lock us in, because we got open houses that have already been scheduled for one of our offices already for April next year. So
and we do a training when we go there too, but it's a different kind of training. But yeah, look, we love how many union events did we do this year?
Oh, I don't know. We traveled
37 times. How many?
We traveled 37 times.
Right. So we did a lot in 52 weeks. We did a lot, right?
Yes.
And we have the capacity to do more, but you've got to lock us in because we can only be at one place at a time, right? So Victor says Florida APW convention and seminar in Miami. Wait.
Yes, we're there.
Yes, of course.
That goes.
Of course, Miami. Of course.
So again, all the presidents, lock us in. And I know there's a lot of TSA people reaching out to us right now. We'd love to come. If any TSA presidents are out there and need to ask any questions, reach out to Bobby Orozco in California, and he'll tell you all about our training and how it went. And also, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. St. Louis TSA president John Reverend was the contact person.
Yeah.
So you can ask them all. That we trained over 300 TSA employees there. So get those dates to me either by messenger on Facebook, or you can email me at genie@federalinjurycenters.com. And so again, next week will be our last week. We'll be on until January. We're going to be here still. And then back in the first Wednesday of January. So next week, we're just going to do Q&A. So bring all your questions that you have so we can answer them live.
Jessica, I just read your message and I'll take a look at that.
Please ask Dr. Cooper.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're talking about federal regulations. I'll see what they say.
Hey, Kristen Jr., are you coming to? Okay, so I know, Gerald, you've been asking me that for like 6 years, maybe.
Lock us in. We want to come.
If your union president invites us, or anybody in the union capacity, meaning president, vice president, secretary, or treasurer,
somebody who has the authority to invite.
Yeah. And that the president knows that this is going to happen.
We'll absolutely say yes.
Let us know and we'll lock you in ASAP.
Yep, 100%.
So anything else?
No, that's it. Look, this was fun. I enjoyed talking about second opinion doctors and nurse case managers, and your questions were great.
Yes.
I'd like the record to reflect that I was not stumped again tonight. I'm like 825-0. So I've got a sterling shiny record.
Shiny record. So yeah, next week, get all your questions. I know you're going to have questions because the holidays are going to come. You're going to get injured. Unfortunately, we hate to say that.
Well, actually try not to if you can. I've heard that it's better when you're not hurt.
Yes.
I've seen examples of people who are not hurt, and that's better than being hurt. So don't get hurt if you can help it.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen. And if it does happen to you, I'm sorry, but report your injury right away. Like, please. Immediately report. It doesn't mean you have to start getting treated right away, but report right away so you don't lose benefits. Report it now. This is a time of year that people say, I'll wait till after the holidays to report. You're going to lose benefits. Don't do that. Report right away. Do your best to stay at work if that's your deal, but report immediately. Don't hurt yourself by waiting. Don't rub some dirt on it. it's probably not getting better like you hope it does.
Exactly. And if anybody's looking to get any of the books right above, go to breakingowcp.com.
Put it in your pocket.
Put it in your pocket. Like it says, download your copy today. And don't forget, federalinjurycenters.com. Click locations for all of our locations. And don't forget to go over and follow us on Breaking OWCP Facebook page and download the app and follow us on the podcast, Breaking OWCP with Chris and Gini.
All right.
We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.